Hey, Dr. Tiff. Happy birthday.
Hey, well, thank you. Thank
Happy
you.
birthday. 28,
Ha ha ha.
29? Was this
No,
28? How could you have been a 20-year medical doctor if you're only 28?
I mean, you probably didn't know. I was just so smart. I started at age 8.
You're like Doogie Howser, but the Dr. Tiffany version?
So not true. But not
Well,
true.
another week has passed, Doc. Here we
Yeah.
are.
Yes,
I
it
feel
is.
like it blinked. I blinked again and it was gone. I'm really excited about tonight, though. I
Mhm.
was just kind of chatting with backstage, if you will, and we got some amazing guests. I'm really excited. Hey, Becky,
Hey,
folks,
Becky.
welcome to our live stream. My name is Jim, and I used to be a type 2 diabetic. And this is Dr. Tiff, and she is a doctor. And I'm going to let her introduce herself here in just a second. But I used to be a type 2 diabetic, and I had very, very high cholesterol, like really bad cholesterol, like really, really bad. And was able to find a solution. I'm now completely unmedicated. I've completely reversed type 2 diabetes. I had a 12.2% A1C. It's now a 4.8%, completely unmedicated. I had high blood pressure for 25 years. I no longer have high blood pressure and just living my best life right now. I'm leaning out. My face doesn't look the same as it used to, and I'm just happy as could be right now. So I went to TikTok and started talking about the products we're getting ready to talk about. And I've met a lot of wonderful people who were sick as well, and they have had some amazing results. And so that's kind of the story behind this live stream is go through and talk about them. But I get it. I'm just some random dude on social media who cooks barbecue, right? And so, what if we paired up with a doctor and started sharing some amazing stories? So,
Yeah.
welcome to this live stream, and I'm going to hand off to you, Dr. Tiff. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes. Well, hello everyone. I am Dr. Tiffany and yes, I know I'm extra casual today. It's my birthday, so I figured I
Happy
could do that
birthday!
today.
Hey,
Right?
everybody in the comment section needs to give Dr. Tiffany a happy birthday. She's 28 years old today.
28 plus 20. But so anyhow, I am a real medical doctor, board certified in family and lifestyle medicine, practicing family medicine for 20 years until I decided, you know what, there's got to be more to this. There's got to be something else. I'm tired of writing prescription after prescription and prescription for the side effects and then prescription for the drug interactions and I want to do something else. And I mean, how many times you got to keep hitting a wall and realize, okay, something else has to be out there. I had a colleague who was board certified in lifestyle medicine, and I learned more about it. And it was about getting to the root causes of conditions. And I started going to do the training I had to do for that. And that took about a year, all the studying and the testing. And I got board certified in lifestyle medicine too. And with that, I was able to help people with coaching, with changing their lifestyle. And I started getting on social media because I figured there's enough crap out there. I might as well add some positivity to the social media platforms, right? So I did. And that's how I got connected with a friend that we share. And she talked to me about these products. And I said, well, why not try it? I mean, yeah, it kind of looks like you're trying to sell me something. But when you see the lab results, the labs don't lie. The people and their lives and their before and afters and their quality of life that has improved and they're getting off of medications, that's not lying. So it was with that I said, why not? And here I am talking to the healthy pit master.
I love it. I love it. I've heard that about 100 times now, and it never gets old. It never gets old. In fact, I tell it every now and then. The first time that I ever saw you was a video that you did that went absolutely like mega viral. Was you're basically saying that you're sick and tired of writing scripts. You're
Right.
tired of it.
Yes.
Tired of writing. And I don't know if you saw all the love that's coming at you in the
I
comments section.
did.
People wishing you happy birthday, and
Thank
I didn't
you.
realize it, but Tony's birthday is today as well. And I've known Tony. Tony was one of the first people that I know that used my link, and so 2 years
Ah,
now. Pretty crazy, actually. March, I believe, Tony. I think it was March of 23. And so, happy birthday to you, Tone.
yes. Happy
Very
birthday.
thankful for the friendship that we have built. Um, well, folks, welcome to this live stream. And here's the deal: if you are new to us, stick around. It's only an hour. We promise to try and be entertaining. At least I'll be entertaining. Dr. Tiff will give some good education, and I'll just be, like I say, the court jester. We have a good time on this live stream. We really do.
Yeah.
And you're going to see a lot of people are being tagged into this, and that is people think that this live stream would benefit their friends, their family, coworkers, whatever it may be, and they
Right.
tag them into here. So if you have been tagged into here, well, that means that somebody thinks that this would benefit you. So listen, do them a favor and listen. There's nothing, it's free to listen. It doesn't
Yes.
cost anything to listen. What if this little 1 hour segment changes your life? That's exciting. That actually, I just said that, Dr. Tiff, and the way that it sounded, I like the way that, what if this 1 hour just changed your life?
Right.
And how many people would say that that's true? That's happened. That's
Yes.
weird.
Yes.
That's weird to think about. Anyway, if you've been tagged into here, stick around. If at the end of this, there are some products for sale, if at the end of this, you decide that, hey, you know what, I want to try those products, get with the person who invited you into here. They'll tell you how to order it, okay? It's that simple. But let's not put the cart in front of the horse. Stick around for the live stream. Listen to everybody first. Listen to Dr. Tiffany. Listen to our testimonials. If you are a person who is on the system, if you're just absolutely winning, Dr. Tiff, I got a testimonial yesterday, a text, and I shared it on my personal page. You might have seen it. And actually, I shared it on the Healthy Pitmaster as well.
Yeah.
5.9 to a 5.2, complete reversal of prediabetes.
Yes.
Done. She doesn't have it. 5.2 is a beautiful number.
That is.
Beautiful number. So now that particular person, her name is Jennifer. Jennifer refers this out to her friends and family. If you want to refer this out to people, you're having an amazing experience like that, you want to share this out to people, this is a perfect opportunity to do it. Type the @ symbol and then start typing your friend or family member's name. And as you type their name, it'll eventually populate. Just hit enter. Done. They're tagged. The next time they log into Facebook, they'll see it. Same thing with Instagram. Same thing with, I don't know if it's the same thing with Twitter, but we are live on Twitter. If you have friends and family that don't have Facebook, don't have Instagram, they still don't believe in all that stuff, this is live on YouTube. Just share the video on YouTube with them. Okay, it's available for everybody. Speaking of which, Dr. Tiffany, where can we find you on social media?
Well, you can find me on Facebook as Dr. Tiffany Marie, YouTube, Dr. Tiffany Marie, TikTok, Dr. Tiffany Marie, and that should help you find me.
And you can find me as the Healthy Pitmaster on every major social media platform. Everywhere out there, you'll find social media platform. Look at this right away. We've got Tanya Lee. I've reversed my type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, off 4 meds, down 45 pounds, reduced 24/7 oxygen usage of 17 years to nighttime only.
Yes.
Skin tags, dark patches gone, cravings gone, more energy, and no more daily naps. I love that.
Yeah.
I got to know Tanya very well over the last couple of years. Okay, so
yes,
Dr. Tiff, who should we bring out first?
I don't know. I love Natasha, so I'd be really excited if we can bring her out first.
Natasha?
Yeah. Now, Tanya, first of all, you brought up her story. Her story touches me every time. So I just love the fact that she put that in the comments because her story is one of those phenomenal ones. But you know what I also love? I love when I meet people like Natasha. When I met this lady, she was on fire before she even got the products in her mouth. She was like, I love it already. I love it already. I said, okay, see, this is the person I like to work with. And this was at night. This is at night. We're doing this stuff, right, Natasha? So who doesn't want to have these type of people with this type of energy, right, Jim? That's the kind of energy we like. So take it away, Natasha. Tell us about how you even got introduced to these products and what brought you here.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tiffany, and the Healthy Pitmaster. Thank you. I'm just grateful to be here today to share. So my journey goes back a long way. I do have some of my family and friends that I've invited, so they have known. A lot of them have known my struggle over the past 50. Hey, I'll put it out there, 55 years. And so from a young child, I look back at my pictures and they were like little chubby thighs and, chubby little round face. So dealing with weight has just been an issue for me almost all of my life, so it's been losing, gaining, all of that. So also a mom to 4 daughters. So any moms on the phone, you can understand, having 4 daughters to full term. So some of that weight never left as well. And so I, had just tried different things over the years, hadn't been that successful. Also was on Wegovy for a little while. I don't have a problem sharing that. I didn't stay on it long, maybe a few months or so. One big thing for me is the cost went up a whole lot. Like I started and it was like maybe $50 a month, and then the tiers changed. And so it went up to like $600 a month. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't do this. So I stopped that. And then one day I just happened to be scrolling. I'm a Facebooker. My girls laugh at me because they'll say, Mom, you need to be on some other social media. But I'm like a Facebook girl. And so I saw my friend since the seventh grade, Myra Miller Whitfield, and she was doing a testimony about how these products helped her. She dealt with long-term COVID, and every time I talk to her or I share the story, I talk about how she held up the basket with all of the medication in there, and said this is the medicines that she was taking every day, and now like she doesn't take any of that anymore. So that was a really like aha moment for me. And then I ended up watching another video from Myra and her husband, because her husband used to deal with being diabetic, and he's lost a lot of weight, and she has too. So I was like, wow. So I ended up sending her a message and just said, hey, I want to talk to you about this. So she and I got a chance to talk, and I got to meet Dr. Tiffany. And so I'm on the products. I can tell you that my energy was always pretty high, but now it's like to the roof. I don't find myself being as fatigued since I've been on the product. I've lost some weight since I've been on the product, which is good. And I also, you talk about a naturally suppressing your appetite, it really does. I'm like, is it time? Oh no, I can't eat. I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry. And so that's what I really like about the product. And, getting up in the morning, just sipping on it to lunchtime, having it as my beverage with my lunch. And then most of the time I'm like, oh, it's 5 o'clock. I guess I should be trying to eat something, but I'm not hungry. But I do try to eat a little something, and then I finish it up in the evening with the fiber shake. So I have been on the product now. Actually, this is just my second week, but I am definitely seeing great results. I have told a lot of people, shared it with quite a few people. Some of my folks are on tonight, and I just want to say thank you for being a part. Also, dealt a few years ago with blood pressure being kind of elevated up and down. And I had my first high A1C about a year ago. And I was like, oh, no, we're not doing this. So I had, how you have to sometimes just have a talk to yourself and like, we can do things to reverse this. So my parents suffered, both of them suffered with high blood pressure. And unfortunately, both of them passed of pancreatic cancer. And so that's another reason I said, no, we're not following in those footsteps. So I'm just grateful to have met I knew Myra, but just to be reconnected with Myra, meet Dr. Tiffany, and to meet you tonight. I'm just grateful to share my story. So yeah, that's my story. Just excited and definitely seeing changes just in these past couple of weeks.
I want to know, a couple of things I want to pick apart that story a little bit. You said 55, but how come you've done that? You're only 45, 35.
What? Really, I'm 35. No, I'm just like, yeah, I'm 55. I'll be 56 in July.
I believe, and I'm going to end up going off camera a little bit looking for, but I believe there's a connection between insulin resistance and pancreatic cancer, I believe. I guess I should be careful with that, but I believe there was a connection between them, a lot like colon cancer and breast cancer and those sorts of things. Anyway, okay. Something I heard that I think is important. So Myra is a longtime friend of yours. Yes. I think that drives home a point that I say every single week. Yep. If somebody, one of your friends or family is telling you about this, they think it'll help you, right? They're just trying to help you. And I know that Myra's been talking about this for quite some time now. So you sat there and watched her for a while, didn't you?
I did. I watched several of her videos. And so then I reached out to her, and then we had our conversation.
Okay. So, and I'm kind of loaded up here. You can take this pitch however you want to take it, right? But most people would say that they're regretful they waited so long. Any of that?
Yeah, I saw her video probably like about 6 months ago, and saw things that popped up on Facebook, and I just was kind of like, oh, but yeah, I wish I had started 6 months ago,
Well,
but
welcome here.
I've started
Welcome
now.
Yes.
to the cool,
Yeah, I'm glad to be
welcome to the
here.
cool kids club. Dr. Tiff, I will
Yeah.
shut up now, Dr. Tiff.
Yes, yes, yes. We are so excited to have you. And I love the excitement on your journey. That's what we all need. And it's that keeps us going and plugged in. And for your family that came on, this is all so much fun. So happy to have you, Natasha. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Dr.
So,
Tiffany. Thank you
Natasha,
all for having me.
what I would like to do is I want to shut your camera off, but I want you to stick around if you don't mind. Stick around kind of
Okay.
backstage because I want to bring you back out at the end of the live stream. If anybody has any questions or anything like that, they want to ask you, you know, what if they have any questions for you, I'd like them to be able to do that. So is that okay with you?
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Yes, I'll stay
Love it.
around.
Love
Yes,
it. Love it.
sir.
Love it.
Thank you.
Okay, Doc, you're up. Why? What is this? What's the problem?
I mean, what would happen if I actually said, I don't know? That would be a problem.
Well, I think the Earth would stop spinning.
I'm sorry. It's my birthday. I'm in that silly space. Okay. Let me get back to what I even want to show you all. Okay. What we're talking about. We're talking about the problem here.
There we go.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yep, I can now.
Okay. We're talking about the problem being cardiometabolic health. 93% of Americans are dealing with poor metabolic health, and that's from a Tufts University study from 2022. So that's 1 in 3 adults are struggling. And if that number sounds a lot, it's because it is. That's a lot. I mean, not these many people think that they're having trouble. And so the medication that is usually prescribed to try to help this problem is your statin. And that's the number one prescribed drug. It's $1 trillion industry. And that helps 1 out of 100 people from having a heart attack, 1 out of 100 people. But you know what actually helps things even better? Doing the lifestyle changes. 39%. That helps improve cardiovascular risk and metabolic health by 39%. And so, again, I always love this, and I'm going to keep talking about this until heart disease is not the number one killer. This was the number one killer, 30 years ago. It still is. Why is that? Those are questions we should be asking. So if we put these low-fat foods out there, all those low-fat sweet treats, the cookies, the low-fat cakes, the low-fat everything, and everybody was eating a low-fat diet, why isn't heart disease eradicated? Yeah, the decrease in smoking did help this number, but the number is still staggering. So something we've been teaching isn't quite right. And so you look at diabetes, and this is 30.3 million people. And this is from a 2022 study that are having diabetes diabetes in the US. And 1 out of 4 don't know they even have it. And then pre-diabetes, that's before you get diabetes. That's 84.1 million. 1 out of 3 adults have pre-diabetes, and 9 out of 10 don't know they have it. And even more staggering is that over half of all adults are dealing with insulin resistance in the world. That's the world number there. And when you look at this circle with insulin resistance in the middle, you have diabetes, heart disease, the big C, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, the leading cause of infertility for women. All these conditions are linked to insulin resistance. And so I love to look at the symptoms. This is what I use to get people to come into my live rooms is I show up these symptoms like the skin tags, because everybody thinks that's genetic. It's not. It's not. If you have more than 5 or 6 of them, it is related to insulin resistance. The dark patches on your neck, that's from insulin overgrowth, making the dark patches an overlying of skin. Same thing with the skin tags, overgrowth of skin, because insulin can be a growth hormone. Symptoms like feeling like you have to have something sugar or salty, inability to lose weight, particularly around the middle. And like I was talking about, polycystic ovarian syndrome, the leading cause of infertility for women. Erectile dysfunction, man boobs. You also have things like that fat around the middle, high blood pressure, feeling tired after meals. That itis, that is not a normal thing. And so, like I was showing before, the plagues of prosperity have one thing in common, and that's the insulin resistance. That's one thing that sits in the middle and connects them all. And so when I say insulin, I like to kind of ask this to the group because a lot of people think insulin is a hormone that, you give to diabetics. But no, it's a hormone our body already makes. And insulin has many jobs, but the jobs we're going to focus on now is how it delivers energy into the cells, how it stores glucose as fat, excess glucose as fat, and regulates blood sugar levels. Now, when the cells don't respond as well to insulin, you get insulin resistance. So, what causes insulin resistance? Too much insulin in your bloodstream. And then what causes that to happen? Well, that's really related upon what you're putting in your body, eating and drinking. So, when you look at the global nutrient database, this is everybody across the world, right? About 3/4 of that are carbohydrates and not as much fat, not as much protein. And so, why does that matter? Well, when you eat carbohydrates, it breaks down into the highest number of glucose. And that is what triggers your pancreas to release insulin to get that glucose, that energy into the cell. Fat doesn't break down into much glucose, it's negligible, but your protein does break down into some. And so here's a good example of how those insulin levels can get too high. When you start, after you've been fasting all night, the insulin level's pretty low because you've been sleeping all night and not eating. Hopefully, you've been not eating while you're sleeping, right? So you have your carbohydrate breakfast because, of course, we were taught breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You got to have your cereal, your oatmeal, your toast, your French toast, your pancakes. Well, all those things are very heavy in carbohydrates, right? That's going to kick up the insulin because, like I said before, carbohydrates break down into a higher number of glucose. That makes your body have to release insulin. And if you notice, it doesn't really have a chance to come back down to baseline. And then you have a snack. And if you're out at work, it's easy to grab a carbohydrate snack from the vending machine. I mean, there's not too many protein snacks or fat snacks in the vending machines, not anyone I've seen. And so you get another bump of insulin. And then lunch, you go to lunch, you get your sandwich or your burger or a slice of pizza, carbohydrate heavy. Same thing again. And then your snack, and then your dinner, and then dessert if you have dessert. And if you notice, your insulin level never really comes back down to baseline and you're flooding your cells with that insulin. That's when your cells become insulin resistant. So our carbohydrates, the problem with that is they've been stripped of their fiber. That's the protective mechanism. So it doesn't shoot up our glucose so much. I mean, you look at the wild rice on the left there, that doesn't look the same as the white rice. We're missing the fiber part, the bran, the part that's going to allow that carbohydrate the effect to be dampened. Okay. And why do we need the fiber? Definitely helps with your digestive system, weight management, because it helps you feel full longer, and it helps with the blood sugar control, like I was talking about with that dampening effect. And I like to tell this to people because I think we blame people too much. Now, there is some blame there, but it's not all entirely your fault. Some of the food in our modern food environment, I like to call this big fooder because this isn't real food. This is processed stuff. All the stuff, the nutrients, the fibers been taken out. You have the chemicals, you have the colors, you have the dyes to make it more attractive. You have more sugar to make it more attractive and more addictive. So anything that's packaged, boxed, barcoded, no one needs to be eating this. And this actually adds to the problem we're dealing with today. So this is what I like to say. There's 5 things you can do immediately. 1, trying to have more of a lower carbohydrate diet. And the way I like to actually phrase this is being more protein focused, protein and fiber focused. That way, if you're eating your protein and your fiber first, by the time you get to the carbohydrates, you barely want to eat them anyway. You're full. You're full already, okay? And then when you do choose carbohydrates, you want to choose the low glycemic index carbohydrates. University of Sydney's website in Australia has a great glycemic index database to where you can type in things to find out how much glycemic index your food has, okay, how high it is. And the other part is avoiding processed carbohydrates and refined sugars, which everyone needs to do. I don't care what diet you're doing. I don't care if you're doing carnivore. I don't care if you're doing Mediterranean. Nobody needs to eat those things, okay? And then exercise. We all pretty much know cardio. I think we all get that one. But doing resistance training is huge. Our muscles actually suck in that glucose, so it helps significantly. So trying to do some resistance training, and you don't have to lift weights and go to the gym. You can do even some body weight training like Pilates or yoga, okay? And then high fiber, because I was talking about how fiber gives us that dampening effect to not allow those carbs to shoot up our glucose that much, okay? So you want to eat a lot of your fiber. I like veggies. I know there's some people that don't do veggies and they rely on the fiber supplement we have, which is a great supplement to be able to add back into your lifestyle. But having more fiber is huge. There's some great data on showing if you eat 30 grams of fiber a day, that actually competes with decreasing your cholesterol as much as a statin, the number 1 prescribed cholesterol medication. And then time-based eating. And why is that important? Because literally, if you shut down eating, you decrease the insulin. Your body doesn't have to make any insulin. So of course, I bring this up to people that don't have issues with, disordered eating, right? Those people may have trouble with fasting because it triggers things. So if you don't have any trouble with doing that, or you're on medications that it's a problem for, that may not be the first place you start without having some sort of guidance. But If you take a break with the eating, that is huge for your gut and for your insulin levels. And so when we go into this, also the big thing we want to tap into, if we can miss a meal, so not just missing snacking, because not snacking between your meals is great. But if you can actually miss a meal, you'll be able to get a longer period of fasting because you'll leverage your sleep time. Autophagy, that's about 16 hours to 72 hours of fasting. It's huge. That's when your cells actually replenish, you get cellular cleanup, you get removal of damaged cells, and you repair. You repair at that time. Our body wants to heal. We just need to tap into that power. And so, of course, when I'm talking about fasting, most people are like, you can forget that. I'm not missing any meals. I'm hungry every couple of hours. But that's because you have insulin resistance. And that's part of the symptoms I showed you to begin with. So what if there were some things that made doing these 5 things easier? Well, there are. Now, we already have a hormone called GLP-1. That hormone, now that's when I say this, people may be able to equate this to something else I'm going to bring up in a minute, but the shots that people are doing, 1 out of 8 people are taking these injectables that boost our GLP-1, right? Well, this GLP-1 hormone was already there, but because of our lifestyle, how we've been eating, how we manage our sleep, how we manage our stress, it has been shut down, so to speak, or not functioning as well. And so, but that hormone particularly reduces cravings, balances blood sugar, improves digestion. So those people that are having cravings and overeating, difficulty managing their weight, and having energy crashes, they could really benefit from a boost in GLP-1s, which explains why these shots were even made. At first they were looking at it for diabetes, but then they realized, oh my gosh, this is helping people lose weight on top of getting down the sugars. But it does it because it boosts that GLP-1. It does it at such an astronomical level. There's a whole slew of crazy side effects. I mean, thyroid cancer, blindness, gastroparesis, which is paralysis of your gut, would be a nice way to say that. Gut perforation, a hole in your gut. We kind of need our gut to be whole. And then after a year of doing those, these injectables, you can actually have decreased muscle loss, actually have increased muscle loss and increased bone loss. Those things you don't want to have, especially as you get over 40, you can't replace that. You need your bone and your muscles, right? And then of course, if you're losing muscle, what happens is when you get off of those injectables and you start gaining weight back, you're not going to gain back muscle. You're going to gain back more fat. That's the problem. And then after 2 years of doing the injectables, some of those sweet cravings that it helps take away comes back. So we want something natural to be able to boost this GLP-1 hormone that our body already has. And good thing about the products we're about to talk about even more, chlorogenic acid, ferulic acid, theobromine, saponins, that's what's in the tea that I sip on. And I do this twice a day. And then you have the fiber supplement that actually dampens the effect of those carbohydrates that I brought up. Both of these have 5 patents on them, fully studied, and they actually boost the GLP-1 in a natural way. It becomes a no-brainer, and that's why I'm here. So back to you, Jim.
Here I am.
Uh-oh.
I decided when you're doing that, when I have both of us on there, you're on part of it, it blocks part of the picture. And I was like, well, I don't need to be in here. So I just shut my camera off. It kind of blocks out a little part of it. And it's that picture, that cross section of the guy with the belly in one of your slides. Anyway, I love it. Does anybody have any questions? Test after this immediately follows this. That'll be a test. It's so simple. It really is quite simple. So hyperinsulinemia, and hyperinsulinemia leads to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance leads to hyperinsulinemia, and hyperinsulinemia kind of leads to a plethora of things. Dr. Ben Bikman, a guy that we follow closely. Dr. Ben Bikman, for those of you who are not familiar with him, he is a professor of cell biology and physiology at Brigham Young University. Basically, he oversees Brigham Young's laboratory of obesity and metabolism. The guy is like really, really smart. He studies white and brown fat, and he pays particular emphasis to the etiology of insulin resistance. In fact, he's been published more than 30 times on the topic of insulin resistance. He has a great book called Why We Get Sick. If you're interested in a good read, Why We Get Sick by Dr. Ben Bikman would be a great book. And then I also like to kind of follow that up with Dr. Jason Fung. Now, Dr. Jason Fung is a nephrologist out of Toronto, Canada. And he found a connection between poor kidney health and insulin resistance. And he thought that if we could address the kidney, the insulin resistance, it would have a profound effect on the kidney. And so what did he do? Exactly what Dr. Tiff just said, intermittent fasting, very strict intermittent fasting schedule, but intermittent fasting, and he paired it with a low carbohydrate, high fat diet. That is keto. The very thing that we've been taught to demonize, well, Dr. Jason Fung started effectively prescribing, and people started winning. They were reversing type 2 diabetes right and left. It was pretty crazy. And so really we begin to realize that it's a symptom rather than a disease. And we ate our way into the sickness, and you can eat your way right back out of it. That's from Yvette Oxford, one of our good friends. Okay, enough of that. I want to bring in our second guest because something you mentioned on there, Dr. Tiff, on your presentation, one of the symptoms that you pointed out applies to this person, Chelsea. And real quick, I want to point out that little RN after Chelsea. So we've got a medical doctor, we've got a registered nurse. So a lot of medical professionals hanging out with us. Chelsea, I'll shut up. How did you get here? What was your health like then? What is your health like now? Just tell your story.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for having me. So
Thanks for being here.
as a kid, I was really lethargic. I remember specifically, so as a child, you assume that whatever you're going through, whatever your family situation is like, you assume it's normal, right? Because it's the only experience that you have. And I remember specifically one time I stood up quickly and passed out, just cold. And I was like 11, 12. Just passed out. And, obviously my parents freaked out and made a follow-up visit with the primary care physician. He was just like, maybe she was stressed. I don't know. And all of my blood work would always come back normal, except my white blood cells were always high 100% of the time. And they would always say, well, she must be fighting off something, trying to come down with a virus, whatever. That went all the way through my 20s. And I started, when I got into college especially, I started realizing like not everyone has trouble staying awake in class. Like not everyone is sleeping through class despite best efforts, despite a healthy sleep schedule, trying to eat as healthy as I could. I tried all these different things to just feel better based on how I saw other people kind of living their lives. And so I got to maybe mid-20s and I discovered a Reboot with Joe Cross. I did a 15-day juice cleanse, felt the best that I have ever felt, and finally started kind of from there doing a sort of like my own version of an elimination diet. I realized I was allergic to beef, allergic to pork. And I also realized that I started feeling bad if I ate anything other than a low carb vegan diet. So I was strict low carb vegan Monday through Friday. And then I would let myself kind of like cheat or treat whatever on the weekends. Yeah, I live in Texas. That's not maintainable. So, I did the best that I could. And then obviously like eventually it's a constant fight trying to stay on this regimen. Especially juicing, like I was juicing along with it, trying to like pack in the nutrients and, it wasn't maintainable. Like as soon as life got busy at all, I would fall off and get sick again. And then I married a man who he's big, meat-loving, Southern dude with a hint of Hispanic in him. Yeah, no, vegan's not happening in this house. So it got worse. I was looking at pictures earlier, and I was starting to get like the moon face look from like somebody who'd been on steroids for a long time. And I had not been treated at all with steroids. But it was just that really like swollen inflammation type look. And in April of 2024, his mom, my mother-in-law, was talking nonstop about this tea and insulin resistance, and here, just try it. And as she calls it, drip, drip, drip. And I was just like, I mean, for years now, I've just been like, I'll try anything. I don't care what it is. Like, I'll try whatever. I mean, it can't be any worse than how I feel now. I'm falling asleep driving. I'm dragging myself through a nurse. I love being a nurse. I was dragging myself through my shift. I was specifically looking at this picture earlier. And I don't know if you can see my breakout, but like I've got the moon face and the red blotches, and I had cystic acne. I had IBS. Like PCOS, endometriosis. I mean, I had it all. I was pre-diabetic. And so I was like, I'll do it. I'll do whatever. I really didn't expect anything out of it. So I just got the product and just kind of mindlessly did it. I'm really good about routine. So if I put something into my routine, I'll just stick with it. And I didn't really think about it. And I actually am really glad I didn't, because the first 2 months were really rough in hindsight. I look back now and I'm like, man, I'm glad that I didn't relate that to the tea and the fiber, because I would have stopped. But I rapidly gained 10 pounds. I felt terrible. I was peeing all the time. And I just didn't even think about it being the tea. And then month 3 into even month 4, for me, it took over 90 days. All of a sudden, I don't have IBS anymore. My energy level is coming up. My menstrual cycles are getting better. Both my sisters kept asking me, like, man, your face, your skin just looks so good. Your eyes are clear. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, fresh air. I've gotten better about like getting out and walking. I don't know, and I wasn't trying to play games, but it was just like, it just didn't dawn on me. And finally into month 4, I realized I've been on this tea for quite a while now. So, I guess because of the PCOS and endometriosis, I just assumed that I wouldn't be able to stay pregnant. I had 2 really, really early miscarriages. And I believe it was like end of August, beginning of September, I had a positive pregnancy test. So I was like, interesting. Okay. That happened really fast. So I actually held out all the way until Christmas to tell my husband's side of the family, because I just wasn't sure how it was going to go. And, this is my first full pregnancy, so I don't have much to compare it to. But from what I've heard other people complain about, I've had less than 10 days now total of morning sickness. My energy is better now at 32 weeks pregnant than it ever has been, including childhood. I'm working 3 jobs, remodeling my house, and we live on a farm, so that's constant work. And I can honestly say I feel better now than I did as a child. And like I tell my mother-in-law, like, I don't know, even if I could have gotten pregnant before, I don't think that I could have, but I don't know how I would have been pregnant with the constant lethargy and like lived any kind of a normal life and been pregnant on top of that. So anyway, yeah. So everyone asks, but there's the bump. I've gained 11 pounds total. I feel like I've deserved to have gained more than that. but I've stayed on the product and managed my weight. And
Literally creating life. Literally making
Wow.
life. Literally creating life. That's amazing.
Okay, I mean, y'all could have gave me the reveal. I didn't know the bump was going to come out. Nobody gave me a heads up. I
I told you it was a big one, Dr. Tiff.
was like,
I
whoa,
told you it was
hold
a big
up.
one. By the way, I didn't tell Dr. Tiff about Chelsea's story. I did not tell. I didn't tell anybody
No.
about Chelsea's story. Well, I did tell a couple people because I was like, you know what? If you know somebody who has infertility, the number one cause of infertility amongst women in the United States is PCOS.
Yeah,
It's reversible. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
it's amazing.
Okay.
Yes. I love your story. I'm so excited. I actually worked up until my babies fell out. So I understand. I was delivering babies about ready to pop, and I thought I was not going to make it. So if I would have had something to help me with the energy, whoa, that would have been so much different.
Chelsea, I love it. I'm going to turn off your camera real quick, and I'm going to just put you backstage again, and I'm going to go through the process of how we use the system. And then I'd like to bring you back out if anybody has any questions. Is that cool? That's an amazing story. I've never even heard the thing in full. Honestly, Dr. Tiff, I've never even heard the thing in full. I've talked to Carrie, but I've only met Chelsea a couple of times. So that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so I do want to address, somebody asked, what was the book again? So I named off a couple of books. Why We Get Sick by Dr. Ben Bickman. And then Dr. Jason Fung, and that's like fungus, F-U-N-G, Dr. Fung. He wrote a book called Life in the Fasting Lane. That's an amazing book. In fact, one of the co-authors in that book had type 2 diabetes and PCOS and was infertile, and she's reversed all those. She's now had children the fun way rather than the other way. So she's had real children doing it the fun way. Anyway, there's Life in the Fasting Lane, and then Dr. Jason Fung is, I believe he's like a 5-time best-selling author. So he's got other books like The Diabetes Code, The Cancer Code, The Obesity Code. They're all amazing books. And then he started writing cookbooks. So the Diabetes Code Cookbook, the Obesity Code Cookbook. In fact, Dr. Bickman wrote Why We Get Sick. He also has a cookbook called How Not to Get Sick. And that's Bickman, B-I-K-M-A-N. And I as I was naming off the books earlier, I forgot to mention Dr. Mindy Pelz. P-L-Z, Dr. Mindy Pelz. She wrote a book called Fast Like a Girl. And really fasting, women are complex.
Yes.
Did I say that right? Women are challenging.
No, I like complex better.
Their hormones are everywhere. Anyway, your fasting schedule could benefit depending on where you're at in your cycle. And so Dr. Mindy Pelz wrote a book about that. And that is called Fast Like a Girl. All of them are amazing books. And then there's a bunch of other doctors that I love to follow, and I think you probably do as well. But Dr. Mark Hyman and Challenging. Yeah, see, Tony? Challenging. And Tanya just wrote this. I'll leave that up there for a moment. Why We Get Sick by Dr. Ben Bickman. Note the spelling of Bickman. And Life in the Fasting Lane by Dr. Jason Fung. Okay. And then she also had Dr. Mindy Pelz, Fast Like a Girl.
Eat Like a Girl.
Yep. Okay. So let's go into this. How do we do this? Well, to talk about how we take it, I want to talk real quick about a little bit of history. This packet right here is Unicity BioSlife. You'll see Unicity BioSlife. And this packet looks a lot like this packet right here. It says Balance. They are identical except for the wording. BioSlife, Balance. So Balance in North America comes in a packet like that. The reason I'm doing this is they're all kind of one and the same. See, BioSlife was developed by Rexall Pharmacy. The real quick poll question. The people that are listening to us right now, how many of you remember Rexall Pharmacy? I'm curious how many of you guys remember Rexall. So Rexall developed BioSlife in the late 80s, and they really kind of developed it for people to help with their cholesterol levels and body weight and just overall general health. And they saw the overprocessing of food as being a problem. They saw that food manufacturers were taking fiber out They saw that they were stripping our food of the vitamins and minerals, and so they wanted to they wanted to find a solution for that. So they developed BioSlife. Now, BioSlife is a patented blend of 7 different plant-based fibers plus a multivitamin. And so it's the 7 different plant-based fibers that makes it unique, and then the multivitamin that makes it unique. And that little combination, that fiber and multivitamin combination therapy, has been studied kind of all over the world. It was studied at the Cleveland Clinic, which is widely perceived to be the top heart hospital in the United States. And don't take some random barbecue dude. The doctor is nodding her head yes, right? Go to Google and type in what's the top heart hospital in the U.S. Google will tell you the Cleveland Clinic. Well, the Cleveland Clinic studied BioSlife in 2001. They published a research paper in 2002. That particular research paper was a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized clinical trial. It was peer-reviewed, it was published, and it's been cited more than 20 times. It's very powerful. That study concluded that such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. They kind of said, and I say kind of because they didn't exactly say it, but they kind of said that it could act like a statin. Okay. That same product, you heard Dr. Tiffany talk about the glycemic index, and then the University of Sydney, Australia. So the University of Sydney, Australia is unique. They are the home of the glycemic index. And when I say home of the glycemic index, that means they maintain the International Glycemic Index database and website. If you type glycemicindex.com into your browser, it will take you to the University of Sydney. That team of people is led by Professor Jenny Brand Miller. She is a doctor, and she's been published more than 250 times on the topic of glucose control, carbohydrates, the glycemic index. That's what she does. She is one of the best in the world at this. Dr. Jenny Brand Miller in 2011 studied BioSlife, and Dr. Jenny Brand Miller found that it caused a 20 to 28% reduction in blood glucose on the food she tested it with, a 13 to 27% reduction in blood insulin. So that right there, you just heard Dr. Tiffany saying that it's the insulin that's the problem, that hyperinsulinemia, that elevated insulin is the problem. Dr. Jenny Brand Miller found a 13 to 27% reduction in blood insulin. That's a massive number. They also studied it a second time, and the second time they tested it on white bread, white rice, and mashed potatoes. These are all high in the glycemic index. Those foods cause big blood sugar spikes. In each case, they found that it lowered the glycemic index from high to medium. It literally moved the needle on the food. It took a food that was awful and made it better. However you want to word it, it literally adjusted the food. It made it better. Dr. Jenny Brand Miller, the University of Sydney, Australia. Now, Dr. Ben Bickman, the gentleman I was just talking about, why we get sick, how not to get sick. Also, Dr. Jason Fung, Life in the Fasting Lane. You'll notice on the back, he asked Dr. Ben Bickman to endorse that book. You'll see Bickman's name on the back of Fung's book. Dr. Ben Bickman has now published research on the tea that we're talking about. The tea, Dr. Bickman found that it effectively increased the efficiency at which we burn fat. Fascinating. Dr. Ben Bickman. But a byproduct of that, an observation that he made during that study, was that it increased the efficiency at which we burn fat. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I was thinking about showing the video at the same time. It increased GLP-1 production by up to 70% during a fasted state. Huge. It actually increases GLP-1. So it's now scientifically proven. It's not like, hey, this thing kind of might do this. It's Dr. Bickman saying this. And I've actually got a video. I'm going to play that real quick here. Bear with me a moment. I wasn't going to show all the different screens, but I think that video is important.
Yes.
You can see the screen there, Tiff. Here we go.
Yep.
That I'll be sharing at a meeting in March in Las Vegas is that this yerba mate supplement called Unimate also increases GLP-1, we found in this experiment we did, the GLP-1 levels went up by about 70% in a fasted state, which is pretty considerable.
That's a big deal. So basically what we have is a product that has science behind it. And if you would like to look at all that research, if you're like me and you want to go do your own research, unicityscience.org is the website. Unicity, UNICITY, science, all one word, unicityscience.org, O-R-G. Go and dig through that. You can spend 3 days digging through that website. You'll find they have 3 different PhD level doctorates on staff. They also have a scientific advisory board where, as of 2024, Dr. Bickman, literally the world's leading metabolic scientist, is the director of the scientific advisory board. It is a science-based company putting out a food-based product. So anyway, how do we do this? There's the explanation on kind of the proof behind it, but how do we do it? So we've talked a lot about intermittent fasting. So the beautiful thing about this is if you work the night shift or if you work the day shift, the fasting schedule is completely customizable. You can move it to wherever you want in the day. What you want is 16 consecutive hours where you don't eat. Easy enough, right? So for me, I put that block of time around my sleep schedule. I want to sleep during most of my fast. So for me personally, at 8 p.m., I'm done eating for the day. I don't have to eat. I've already had food. I don't need more food. 8 p.m., I'm done. I don't eat again until noon the following day. That's 16 days or 16 hours. Now, 16 days. I know. What is going on? I have one of these Yeti tumblers. Unicity is going to send you a bottle, and you're free to use that bottle. It says Unimate on it. I don't use it for my Unimate. I have one of these cups. That bottle right there. So you're free to use that. It's got a line on it that says Unimate. If you want to drink it cold, there you go. That's about a half liter. This is about a liter. I prefer this. I like a little more water in mine, and I like to drink it hot. However you want to do it, what you want to do is exactly what Dr. Tiff just did. Sip on it. Sip on it. We're not going to chug it. When that one's gone, drink a second one. It's that simple. Wake up in the morning. That is Amanda and I. My wife is Amanda. That is the first thing that we do. The first one out of bed goes and makes the 2 Unimates. And then when it's done, just crack into the second one. And in fact, my wife has one of those really big, like the Stanley one that's like about 6 feet tall. And she puts both of her Unimates in there at the same time and fills it up. And she'll sip on that until 1 p.m. So that's what you do with the tea. And then before your heaviest meal of the day, you drink a balance. You use that same bottle that Tiff had right there. There's a little line that says balance, cold water. Add your balance to that. Give it some 7 or 8 shakes. And then chug it fast. Get it down the hatch as quickly as you can. And then enjoy your meal. It's that simple. Yep. It is so incredibly simple. Instructions come with the kit. It's simple. So the beautiful thing about this is they offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. It's a happiness guarantee. If you're not satisfied, ask for a refund. They will give you all of your money back. Such a no-brainer. Absolutely nothing to lose, everything to win. If you've been invited to this and you want to try the products, just get with the person who invited you here. They'll tell you how to order. What did I miss, Dr. Tiff? Did I miss anything?
Oh, nope. You got it all.
Was that too much? Did I go over the top?
Never.
Okay. Hope I didn't put anybody to sleep. You guys, you can wake up now, start wiping the sleep out of your eyes.
No.
What questions do we have? I love this part because you get to ask questions of the doctor, either of our guests. If you have any questions for me, you're more than welcome to ask me. Let's see. No, it didn't. It's a liquid diet, basically science-based. Okay, here we go. Let's see. No, it didn't. It's a liquid diet, basically science-based. When they only done a 30-day study on 30 people. Fasting is a process for losing weight, so done with only drinking liquid with a small meal. Of course, you're going to lose weight, but poop. I think we might have a naysayer. What I would suggest you do, Christy, is try the product. You've got nothing to lose. And it is science-based. Actually, that was a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized clinical trial. It was peer-reviewed, published, and it's been cited. Dr. Ben Bickman, here.
Well, I mean, even besides that, I mean, we're just adding to lifestyle changes we know are actually helpful. That's all these products are doing. It's not a liquid diet you're eating. You're just using these as tools to decrease your cravings. That's all. But yeah, I tell you, when people put in there their results for these people that are on the call that are having good results, when you see that type of stuff, it becomes, why not try it? Or not.
This is, by the way, this is NIH, PubMed. This is an official website of the United States government. Fiber and multivitamin combination therapy. This is a beneficial influence on LDL and homocysteine. That entire study can be found right here, unicityscience.org. And you will find this was done at the preventative cardiology section of the Cleveland Clinic. And the fiber tested was Bios Life 2 from Rexall Sundown. LDL decreased, total cholesterol decreased, HDL increased, triglycerides, everything benefited from this. And they concluded such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. It is absolutely science-based. So what I would suggest you do is, rather than be a naysayer, give it a shot. If you don't like it, if you think that it's a goof, then ask for a refund. They'll give you all your money back. Okay, so I'm going through that stage now. Lets me know I'm on track. Espinola, talking to you, Chelsea.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, when you get your insulin levels down, it brings out the fluid. Insulin makes you hold on to fluid. So when they come down, you will urinate more. That means, yes, you're on the right track. Definitely Espinola.
This one, I believe, is for Chelsea. What did your OB think about you on the protocol?
I haven't been back. I've only been to my PCP. And it was basically like, my A1C is completely normal. I did have high cholesterol as well, but I had been talking so long, I didn't want to keep talking. I did have high cholesterol, and all of my blood work last time came back in normal ranges, and she was just like, keep doing whatever you're doing. So I also did a gestational diabetes test recently, and after drinking the Dr. Tiffany might know, is it like 200 grams of sugar? Mm-hmm. It's a lot of sugar. An hour later, my glucose level was 84.
Oh, awesome.
That's amazing. Okay, I see Kim Carr saying the program is the easiest thing I've ever done. Lost weight, feel tons better, and I'm not done yet. Love it. And Lindy, best thing I've ever done. Okay, so I don't see a whole lot of other questions coming in. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Chelsea, I want to ask you a question that I ask everybody. There are a lot of people who are skeptical, and clearly we have one of those people in our audience right now, and I'm actually totally fine with that. I believe skepticism is well-deserved. But there's too many things out there I get it. Chelsea, what do you say to that skeptic?
Look into it, especially if you're having these health issues that we're talking about. It's like you've been saying, what do you have to lose? I mean, I feel like I had a lot to lose. One of my biggest desires has always been to live until I die, is how I kind of word that. I don't want to rot away in, a nursing home or something. And this gave me that opportunity. So, the science is there. I'm not sure what study they're referring to. But I love studies and articles. And they're there. I've seen them. Just the fact that it's in the PDR. I mean, they don't just put anything in there, especially nutraceuticals.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that it's in the PDR.
Yeah.
I want to address Bill Hearn, buddy. I'm not ignoring you. I'm keeping the call on scope, buddy. We're talking about unicity, not dandelions. I'm not ignoring you. I will gladly talk to you after this about the dandelion study that you sent me, but it's just off scope, okay? That's all. Natasha, what would you say to the skeptic?
I would say give it a try. My only regret is that I did start it sooner, but I'm on board and rolling now. So, you've heard tonight. Don't wait any longer. Go ahead and get started and just think about where we are now. This is March, 3 months. You're in the middle, you're in summer. You'll be probably 30, 40 pounds lighter, you'll feel much better. You should be off some of those medications. So I would just encourage you to go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Reach back out to the person who invited you tonight and get started.
Well, and I've been debating on whether or not to say this because Jim might get mad at me. But my husband absolutely refused to fast, just would not. He changed nothing. And just did the tea, kind of half did the balance. And he's, he was on Prilosec for GERD for 13 years. He's reversed GERD and lost a ton of weight. Again, changed nothing, was not fasting. And now he's realizing, oh, there's something to this. So he's having breakfast now and is just dropping weight like crazy. And he's working a very physically demanding job. He's been home since 6, and now he's been out working on our farm since then and never used to have the energy like that.
It's funny. It's like these guys are like stubborn or something.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the 2 cameras down. Natasha, Chelsea, thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Tiffany, what would you say for your parting words?
Well, you know what? I love that. I love that Chelsea was talking about how her hubby didn't make some of the changes. That's why I like these products, because some people aren't ready. Some people aren't ready to fast. Some people aren't ready to decrease their carb craving. Some people have too much of a carb addiction. These products help them get there. And eventually they start making the right choices. So what I like to tell people is I looked at these products. I'm a real medical doctor. But I saw that these products gave me a way to fix the root problem instead of doing Band-Aids. Now we're getting to the real cause of why you're having the blood pressure, the cholesterol, the sugar, the difficulty losing the weight. And that was important to me. That's why this is all I'm doing now, and I'm no longer prescribing. I was able to get off my blood pressure medicine after 2 months, able to help my brother get off his insulin, his Trulicity, his metformin, took his butt out the ICU with these natural products. And so when I did that, that changed everything for me. There's something about having a real story that you connect with. So, rather than talk to a skeptic, I say do your research, because you need to definitely do your research with anything you do. But I want to talk to the people sitting at home doing nothing, not taking their medications, having the family history. My father died after 3 strokes, and I'm not by myself. If that is you and you're looking for an answer and you're tired of taking medications, this has a 90-day money-back guarantee. What are we waiting for?
I love it. Love it, love it, love it, Dr. Tiff. I can't really add to that. I'm just going to go with you've got nothing to lose, everything to gain. Best of luck to everybody out there. If you want to order the products, get with the person who sent you to this live stream. And we'll see you next week, Dr. Tiff.